Hey guys, welcome back, it's Ripe again. In today's video, a homeowner association president forged my signature and signed me up for his fraudulent HOA. He claims that I am part of their scheme now. Here is what happened, let's dive right into the video. Just to get this off the bat, I changed the names of the places and names in this story so I don't dox myself. I hope you don't mind. Anyway, Turtle Creek is a great town, it is quiet, safe, has great schools and even better churros. That is what brought my family here years ago. We love the town, so we spent months searching for the perfect property in Turtle Creek. Our biggest hang-up when searching for a house was that we didn't want to live in an HOA community. We are a creative family and I wanted the freedom to change my paint, rocks and whatever else I saw fit on my schedule. It took some searching, but we finally found the perfect Turtle Creek home outside of all the local association boundaries. We triple-checked our HOA-free status with the property inspector, the realtor and the records office before we happily closed the deal. Thank goodness we had the forethought to steer clear of the HOA, because just 1 year after moving to Turtle Creek, we started hearing loads of rumors about the local HOA president. He was said to be a nosy man who carried a ruler in his pocket, always ready to measure a hedge and fine you if you stepped out of line. My hairdresser even mentioned getting a fine along with a rudely worded citation about the color of her pansies and that she had the prettiest garden in town. I listened to my neighbor's stories with empathy, but I was secretly happy that I was safely outside of the fray. My little plot of land was on the neighboring outskirts of the crazy pansy policeman's jurisdiction. The homeowners association that he presided over consisted of properties 1 street south of me and beyond, and I knew because I reviewed the maps so thoroughly when we made our move, so when my friends asked how I stay so calm with this HOA tyrant around, I just urged them to move to a new street. I was the shoulder my HOA-suffering neighbors could cry on for a long time, until their nightmare became mine too. About 5 years after moving to Turtle Creek, I was having a few friends over for lunch when the HOA threat became apparent. My neighbors from a few streets south were trading war stories about what this puffed-up nobody running their association was doing. "He is a tyrant, he's always in everyone's business, and I swear he has his eyes on more," my friend Sarah said. "More?" I asked. "Yeah," Sarah said. "I went to the last board meeting and he was talking like a dictator." Everyone around the table laughed. "You're so dramatic," my friend Mary said. "No, really, he said that HOAs should be focused on gaining more land and collecting more dues. He practically took his shoe off and slammed it on the podium," Sarah said. Everyone laughed again at Sarah's dramatic flair, but I couldn't help but worry that there was some truth in her story. What if this nutjob was trying to expand the HOA? Would he come to my street? Not 2 weeks later I got my answer. Mr. Hill, the president of the local HOA, who my friends were always complaining about, rang my doorbell. I saw his face through the window next to the door as I approached. I recognized him from a picture I had seen in the local newspaper. I froze. I knew what he would want from me, but all I had to do was stand my ground and resist any offer he made to join the HOA. And well, Ripe stars, I guess in this case, joining the HOA means basically signing a pact with the devil. But I suppose if the offer is enticing, who knows? Anyway, I opened the door and said, "Hello?" He said, "Hello, I'm Mr. Hill. I'm the head of the local HOA." "Nice to meet you," I said, although it was anything but nice to meet him. "Likewise, I just wanted to introduce myself and talk a little bit about our little association," he said. "Look, I have to stop you right there," I said. "Thanks for stopping by, but I'm not open to any buyout deals or anything like that. We actually like living outside of the HOA jurisdiction and we are not willing to change that." A haunting smirk grew across his face. It unsettled me. "Well, that's the thing, isn't it? HOA jurisdiction? You might have thought I was here to buy you out or entice you to join, but I'm actually here to call you out," he said. I felt stunned. What was he talking about? Call me out for what? Excuse me? You say you enjoy living outside of the HOA? Well, you've been living within the HOA lines this whole time, shirking your dues, and we have the documents to prove it," he said, pointing his finger at me rudely. "We certainly have not been. Our property is outside of your lines. I've seen the records that prove it, and anything you have seen is just garbage." "Call them garbage, but I have the papers that state this property is part of the HOA. Moreover, you owe past dues and need to get your land up to code," he said. I could not believe the audacity of this man. He was exactly as inflated as my friends had described, and it was not a good look. I took a deep breath and resolved to get rid of him as politely as I could in my enraged state of mind. I don't know who you think you are coming over here with these accusations. My family lives here peacefully and we are a vital part of this town. And by the way, I've only ever heard negative things about the bully that you are, so I suggest you get off my doorstep, I said. For a moment, Mr. Hill just stood there looking red-faced and finally he realized he was beaten. He left shaking his head angrily. I felt triumphant for chasing him away, but I knew that would not be the last that I saw of Mr. Hill or the money-grubbing HOA. About a week later, I started receiving fines in the mail demanding the dues. It became a landslide of letters and bills asking for astronomical sums of money, all labeled as late dues. We even received a handwritten letter from Mr. Hill where he again referenced documents that put our land within HOA jurisdiction, but I knew they were fake. It all came to a head when one morning I was woken up an hour earlier than my alarm by the sounds of construction. I looked out my window and suddenly I was seeing red. Out on the lawn was a group of contractors demolishing our fences. I woke up my husband. He also couldn't believe what was going on. Neither of us had hired them, but at that moment I knew who might be behind this. While my husband threw his boots on to give the contractors hell, I got on the phone with our lawyer. They assured me they would draft a cease and desist order and send it to not just Mr. Hill, but every member of the HOA board. After talking to the lawyer, I spoke with my husband. What did the workers say? I asked. They said they were hired by the HOA to bring the fence up to code. They showed me some phony paperwork saying that our lot is within the HOA boundaries. Why do you think it was phony? Because it was the same document the realtor showed us when we moved, but with a different set of addresses for the boundary line and a couple janky looking signatures, he said. I'm calling our lawyer back, I said. After my call, the lawyer assured me that they would be opening an official inquiry into Mr. Hill and the HOA at large. A few weeks later, the investigation proved that the documents that the president had used as his armor were in fact forged. I felt so vindicated knowing that we were right all along. Our house was outside of the HOA boundary and always would be. The investigation proved that Mr. Hill had acted without authority over the property and forged the documents to make his false authority look even stronger. I was no law expert, but I knew this spelled disaster for him and I did not care. From controlling my neighbors' gardening whims to harassing and shaking down residents, this guy was a total sleaze. So it was no surprise when my lawyer stopped by to tell me the news. Mr. Hill was charged with forgery, fraud and trespassing, he said. Wow, they nailed him! Yeah, and what's more is that he can never hold a position on a housing board again. He will also have to pay your legal fees, his own legal fees and a hefty fine, plus 3 months in jail, and he said he cannot pay, so it's likely he will lose his house to the fees as well. Well, that means no more Mr. Hill in town. I was stunned. I never thought we'd be able to get this guy on so many charges, but it was a gift. I could already imagine Sarah's impression of the HOA president measuring the space between jail bars with his little pocket ruler, and it made me smile. Is he the only one? No, Mr. Hill was directly responsible for the forged documents and the trespassing, but the whole HOA board has been slapped with some fees and a restructuring order. That way they won't be tempted to pull any new scams. Plus, if they don't raise the money for their fees, they might have to disband, the lawyer said. I felt complete relief. Finally, someone had taken on the HOA and won. Thank you, Turtle Creek just became a safer place to live without those thugs. I said, it never would have happened if not for you. Way to go. And yeah, Ripe Stars, it is always so nice to see an HOA getting what they deserve, especially the entitled HOA president. If you still enjoy the HOA stories, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments, because that would help me tremendously. Thank you so much, and the next one is a malicious compliance story. A few years back, I was the IT contracts and supplier manager at a large company, been there 25 plus years and had a lot of corporate knowledge, having worked in multiple roles over that time. Also was very well paid due to the length of tenure and experience at the company. A new a-hole boss gets hired and proceeds to get rid of people he doesn't like and hires his buddies into various roles. The workplace culture took a nosedive pretty quickly. I knew my time was limited as I was not in his inner circle. Seeing the writing on the wall, I started looking for and applying for other roles. The a-hole boss gets me in their sights and decides to get rid of me, looking to move one of his recently hired buddies to my specialized role. He doesn't even understand what I do, needing a lot of technical knowledge combined with contract and legal. He tells me that he wants to move me onto an upcoming project and to finish off what I'm currently working on and not take on any new work. Though all my contacts across the company, I knew there was no new project or even significant budget for one, but I'll do what I'm told. I wrap up my work and tell him that I'm ready for the project. He says, sit tight, it's not far away, and don't start anything else. So I sit at my desk applying for other jobs and waiting. One of the jobs I applied for comes through and gets an offer on a Friday morning. That same afternoon, the a-hole boss comes around and says, "The project isn't happening, and as you have nothing else on your plate, we'll have to let you go." Yes, see? I know there is heaps of work backed up and the crap is gonna hit the fan soon when contracts are not renewed, services cancelled, etc. I also know my employment contract and they will have to pay a generous redundancy because the boss told HR my role is not required anymore. I say, okay, I guess you will have to pay me a redundancy too. Sure, he says, not knowing what he has agreed to, so I go through the redundancy process and at the same time accept the offer of the new job. Come my last day, I happily accept the $200,000 payout. His face goes pale when he hears of the amount because it comes out of the team's budget. So I walk out the door and into the new job the day after. Love my new job, less stress, great culture, a great team. Wish I'd left earlier, but then I wouldn't have gotten the payout if I resigned. 4 weeks later, I hear the crap is hitting the fan and they advertise for a new person for my old role as no one knows what to do because apparently my job was easy, you know? He didn't even ask me document what I did to hand over to anyone else. And the next one is titled Karen at Store. My 40 male, almost 4-year-old daughter loves grocery shopping with me, especially if we get one of those race car grocery carts. If it's a slow time at the store, I take her to the deli where there is a wide open space in the corner and spin a circle with the cart. She loves it. It usually gathers smiles in the rare cases someone is nearby. Just a dad having fun with his daughter, right? Well, just yesterday after doing a single spin, we went on our way when an older lady, I would say early 70s, came towards us shaking her head and glaring at us. I gave her a perplexed look in response to her scowl and she muttered something about having absolutely no respect for public places. I responded, "Sorry ma'am, I was just having fun with my child. Sorry to have offended you. Have a nice day." I thought that was that and was happy to move on, but she continued. Her, "Shame on you for teaching your child such poor manners. I taught my children how to behave in public." Me, "Clearly that's a lesson you did not bother to learn yourself. I wonder how well they turned out." Her muttered something about them being perfect. My almost 4-year-old is extremely perceptive and sensitive and asked if she had done something wrong. I then explained as loud as I could, me, "Absolutely not, honey, that's just a very grumpy old bully." Karen angrily responded, "I'm not grumpy, I just want to be left alone." Me, with my stern face, "No? Well, you certainly are a bully then, and if you want to be left alone, I strongly suggest you start minding your own damn business. You taught your children to behave in stores? I'm teaching mine to stand up to bullies like you. Thank you for this perfect teaching moment." She finally caught the hint to shut her trap and moved along, still muttering and shaking her head. Now time for the petty revenge. Twice more we encountered her in the other aisles and I made sure to overdo the race car theme, but would abruptly stop when we got near her, saying loudly to my daughter, "Careful now, honey, we don't want to anger the fun police." And my daughter played along perfectly. As fate would have it, we were approaching the checkout at nearly the same time. We got there first, but I magnanimously allowed her in front of us to be first in line at the solitary man checkout, knowing that she would complain, and she did not disappoint. She immediately started to explain to the till person that she was harassed by me and my daughter this whole time, and how we were disrupting the whole store. The till lady cautiously looked over at me, and I just gave a totally confused shrug. I'm still in my formal work clothes, suit and tie, and my daughter is wearing her adorable poofy fairy skirt, picture perfect innocence. Having obviously seen me let the lady in front of us in line, the till person gave me an apologetic smile and just nodded and smiled, humoring Karen. She must have tried complaining further at customer services because we were now leaving at the same time, despite our full grocery cart, a child insisting on helping with the bagging. Once outside, I made sure to drag race that cart past her as loud and as obnoxiously as I could, and my daughter squealed in delight. I did not even bother looking back at that crusty old Karen. She ruined my shopping outing, and I hope I ruined her entire day. I do feel bad for people that are this desperately miserable, but I also have zero patience for them taking it out on other people just trying to enjoy a sliver of joy in their day. I think if enough of us consistently confront people like this, they might just learn to keep their mouths shut and their poor attitudes to themselves. Mandatory edit, formatting, gratitude and trolls. Thanks for all the fatherhood props made my day, and thanks for all the new grocery store shenanigan tips. I cannot wait to bring joy to hundreds of people while pissing off one. By the way, my mind is blown about the people defending this lady, labeling me the bully and shaming my parenthood. And yeah, Ripe Stars, sometimes I don't really understand Reddit, or am I getting this totally wrong here? Do you think that OP is the a-hole in this story? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Anyway, the next one is the story from r/am I the a-hole. I'm a widowed mom, little one and I recently moved to another state for a multitude of reasons, mostly to stay close to my in-laws who moved to warmer temperatures for health reasons. I have a mom friend, she is a neighbor, we have been doing playdates as our daughters are around the same age. We get along great for the most part, she is going through a divorce though, and she is the one who initiated it. All she does is complain about her husband and how she hates being alone, etc. I just listen. I'm supportive as I can be. She said to me the other night that I had no idea how hard she has it. She is alone, it's better for me because my husband flat out died. He's not out there dating other women. I will never understand how alone she feels, etc. And I just laughed at her. I couldn't help it and I couldn't stop. I managed to mention that she initiated the divorce, she wanted to be single. However, I couldn't stop laughing, so now she is mad at me. She still lets her daughter come over and play, but she doesn't stay, and I'm okay with that. But Reddit, am I the a-hole here? Am I minimizing her feelings? I don't talk about my dead husband. I did not compare my situation and hers. She did though. And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you think that OP is the a-hole or not? And a user in the comments said, not the a-hole, it's a bit rich when the person who initiates the divorce complains about being alone or the other party moving on. It's just delusional. Comment number 2, my husband was deployed and my best friend told me I had it much easier than she did. Her husband had not been deployed, but war was causing him to have to work much longer hours and his stress was increasing her stress. I could not believe her, what the hell, I chose to never speak to her again, not the a-hole. Update to the story, first of all thank you for all the comments and messages. Even the message that alluded to how I may somehow laugh at my kids someday and make her feel like crap because I don't react to insanity like this person thinks a normal person should, whatever. So the good outcome of this is that my now ex-friend complained to a bunch of our neighbors about me, and I have made quite a few new friends for both myself and the little one. They enlightened me to the fact that she has pretty much alienated all of her close neighbors for the same type of reasons. She is someone who always has a worse problem than whatever problem you have. Is that a narcissistic trait? Anyway, she did make a half-ass attempt to apologize to me, but it was more of a, I'm sorry you took it like that. Like there was another meaning to it. I did tell her that I'm not mad at her, but lord does she have a skewed way of looking at things and I wish her well, but I don't have the energy to deal with a person like that. And the next one is titled, I can sleep where I want. I've been having major cabin fever recently, working from home and generally being stuck at home. Especially when the weather has been warming up. Getting outside helps a lot, but I've mainly stayed in my own yard. I have a hammock up between 2 trees and I've slept in there at night under the stars. It's nice, it's peaceful, and it makes me feel a lot less like a rat in a cage nowadays. I know it's weird, but I enjoy it, it's peaceful and helps me de-stress after work. However, my neighbors are bothered by it, they said it's weird and they don't want someone sleeping outdoors near where their kids play. They don't like me being out there so much. Because their family has less privacy and it would be better if I stayed in the house at night. I said I don't pay them any attention, I'm just doing something relaxing to stay sane because my work and other things have made me stressed. Am I the jerk for wanting to keep sleeping outdoors? Comment number 1, lol, what the hell? You are on your own property. Tell them that you don't want kids playing near where you sleep. Entitled parent, seriously. Comment number 2, not the a-hole, they need to get over themselves, you are in your own backyard, and while it may be uncommon behavior, you're not doing anything wrong. If they want more privacy, they can put up a fence, plant trees, close their blinds and curtains, whatever, it's on them. ETA, my response is based on the assumption that you have your own backyard that is separate from your neighbor's property. And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know what you think about this in the comments. I would definitely say that OP is not the a-hole as long as this comment mentioned, the backyard really only belongs to OP and is not shared or something. If it's really his private property, then he can pretty much do whatever he wants, and certainly sleeping there does not hurt anybody. And yeah guys, if you cannot get enough of my content, please don't forget to check out my podcast by searching for Ripe Stories on all major podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple or Google Podcasts. Furthermore, you can find bonus content by going to patreon.com/ripeyoutube or by clicking the join button here on YouTube. For a small monthly fee, you will get access to dozens and dozens of exclusive videos you won't find anywhere else. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.